Oh, hello. I think I remember you from Weymouth. Last summer you came and visited. Well, now I've come to visit you, Nola. Thank you for having me on this beautiful day here in, where are we? Look at this scenic vista. I'll give you a hint. The sun's only been up for an hour and a half here, where it's been up for 4.5 hours where you are. And we're looking north at some, believe it or not, winter weather advisory in effect in Southern California. Looking north to where the fire was in Camarillo over there. Fortunately, there's an onshore flow today, so fire danger is way down. And in New England, fire danger is way up. Red flag warning in effect again today in much of New England, including southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, southern Maine, and southern New England. It's the day of the full moon, so we also have a coastal flood advisory for a few spots getting some spillover here, not exceptionally strong high tides. And I think the surprise of the day in New England this morning for me was, well, why don't I start with the very beginning, as the sun was coming up in Bakersville, Connecticut. Dennis says it was 12 degrees this morning with ice on the swamp, and not to be outdone. Thank you, Dennis, for that. Steve Turnblom says his backyard pond had its first skim of ice of the season in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, and he says the water level is about 5 feet down from where it usually is. So exceptionally dry weather, and it just keeps on coming, dry weather. And the surprise of the day with those very low dew points. I think the dew point was 8 in Boston when I looked at about 10:30 local time. The temperature map from early in the day. Here's the temperature map. I didn't put the blue numbers on. I put the red numbers on, so it's still fairly windy on Cape Cod, wind gusting past 20. But 12 degrees also. Dennis, you were in good company with Whitefield, New Hampshire, and Berlin, New Hampshire. And where was the warmest spot? It was way up on the Mount Washington Auto Road. The base of the Mount Washington, Boston, by the way, got to 34 this morning for a low, as far as I can tell. So the guidance had, the Euro had Boston this morning being 29 as the coldest morning, and it ended up being 32 the last 2 mornings and 34 this morning. So the guidance is only guidance. We also got to make our own weather forecasts. Yeah, I keep saying surprise of the day was the snow guns still going at Killington on Superstar. Looks like upper Superstar and lower Superstar with the guns shut off in the middle. And how can the guns be going when the temperature is rising up through the 30s? Well, the dew point is lower. So if you have exceptionally dry air, low relative humidity, you spray that water in the air, and the evaporational cooling can actually take an ambient temperature of 34, so down to about 28 or 29. So it's your wet bulb temperature was low enough that the guns kept going. And I didn't know yesterday, as I was flying across the country, that people were going up the gondola at Killington. The season started at Killington yesterday. That was kind of short notice for me, although a week ago we did predict that it perhaps would start this season this week. And today's day 2 at Killington, although it was some hold on the Northridge Chair early in the morning this morning. I don't know what was going on there. It's not too windy at Killington. Matter of fact, a lot of New England was not windy at all, but the wind does pick up after the sun comes up. It starts mixing out those upper level winds, which are mostly coming out of the northwest, and surface winds still kind of from the north. It's a really convoluted looking weather map, though. You go to the national advisories, watches, and warnings, and believe it or not, right here in Southern California, the San Bernardino Mountains, there's a winter weather advisory in effect today. So some scattered winter weather advisories, winter storm watch, Washington and Oregon. But in the east, there's a hurricane wind warning east of North Carolina. That's that red. And also the bright pink or fuchsia there in the northeast is a red flag warning in effect for today in the northeast. So what's up with a hurricane wind warning? It's that enigmatic storm that about 8 days ago was forecast to move into Ontario, and New England was supposed to get a bunch of rain last night and this morning, but instead the guidance just totally pulled an upheaval over the weekend and took that low that was supposed to near Lake Superior, and then the guidance says that low was going to end up near Florida, and instead it split the middle, which is usually the case. And here it is from satellite imagery. We'll show the sort of wide shot with our old Colorado, New Mexico storm that went out there and is stalled and retrograding, and there's a loop-de-loop going around with one low moving towards the northwest to our east, and then the one off of North Carolina. Look at that, really wound up, even though it's not the the lowest barometer. I think it's only about a 998 or so, but it's surrounded by high pressure, so that's why you get that hurricane force wind warning as that system is taking off to the east, and they both kind of Fujiwara. Usually that's associated with a tropical, two tropical storms going around one another, but these are not tropical, but they're going around one another. There's a huge upper level low forming to the east of New England, and that has kept us right in the middle with sunshine for the most part and dry air, and at least it's a little less windy. The high to our north is giving way to a new high that's going to be developing off to our west. So let's see, what I want to talk about. Tropics. Sarah did become a tropical storm yesterday, so the S storm is in the books, but it's hugging the coast there in Honduras at about 50 miles an hour. It's now forecast to go into the Yucatan Peninsula and decay, fall apart. So the threat for a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico and toward Florida is almost zero now, I think, but there'll still be some weather. That part of that may recurve, and eventually some of that wetness may get here. And our friend Josh Morgerman, he's had his bags packed by his door there at his home in Mississippi. He chases all over the globe, and he says, I'm off to the Philippines. And in the Philippines, there is a typhoon, Manyay, and it's forecast to intensify to a violent typhoon, equivalent of a Category 5. They have different nomenclature out there. Essentially a typhoon and hurricane, same thing, huge windstorm, and he's going to the Philippines to chase that. And boy, that looks like a complicated chase, but Josh, that's what he does. Somehow, I'm not sure if you make a living at it, but that's what he does. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Also interesting to see what happens here. I know there's actually a surf advisory in effect to the south of Los Angeles. Technically, I'm in Santa Monica, but I think I'm going to go down the beach and check out those waves. And I do have my bathing suit, and somebody has offered to give me a board, but I'm not going out in unfamiliar 6-foot breakers, I don't think. I'm almost inclined to chase the snow. I'm not even sure why it's supposed to snow around here. I think I'm looking over towards where that winter weather advisory is in effect, and you can see there is convection, certainly is convection, and expecting 1 to 3 inches of snow near Big Bear Lake. I wonder if I could chase that way. I think that has to do with the storm that's up over Nevada, and we've got a northwesterly flow here, and that's kind of an ocean flow, and there's some upslope, so you get a little trough, some upslope, and just enough moisture to wring out a couple of snowflakes in Southern California. Much better than fires, that's for sure. Yeah, so where am I? Well, that's obviously south. The sun goes across the south, so and then you look over towards the east and then towards the north, and there are the clouds coming in off the Pacific Ocean, and then that would be the Pacific Ocean. So just like much in New England, you get your sinking over the water and your air rising over the land. I've memorized a lot. I can't remember if I've done it all, but let's go to the Euro now and put things in motion, because once again, it's pulling a couple of fast ones on us next week. And we have a high pressure to our north, giving way to high pressure to our west, so it's a warming trend in here, but the wind is still at the surface coming in from the north. There's going to be a weak low going to our north here on Sunday, so it looks like fairly quiet weather as we're between all those storms kind of stalled off to our east and going around to our south. And we have a little backdoor cold front here on Monday, and now an upper level low. This is a little bit interesting. Instability, upslope snow is possible in parts of New England on Monday, just cold enough to turn the snow guns back on, and maybe a sprinkle elsewhere. And then we're going to have the tightening gradient again, and stronger northerly winds are going to come in here with mostly dry air on Tuesday into Wednesday. Now we have high pressure building to our north, even though you can't really see it there. And so we're going to stop it again now on Wednesday, because we've been stopping it on Wednesday the last couple of days because so much is going on. 2 days ago, there was supposed to be a blizzard somewhere up near South Dakota and Nebraska. And then yesterday, it looked like maybe some blizzard conditions near Texas. Well, there's not even any snow on this one now. It's a low pressure system heading across, where is that, Kentucky? No, it looks like more like Missouri, and it's deepening in through the 990s into the 980s. Quite a significant storm developing there, but less supply of cold, and that's just rain. So forget the blizzard if this guidance is right, at least for that time period. And also over the Gulf of Mexico, it's not a hurricane or a tropical storm. It looks like just some moisture and a front going across Florida, so some rain in Florida, but the threat for any hurricane is gone now. And I'm only going to put this back into motion here. In New England, there's not much there. It's just kind of in between. And oh yeah, timeout. Cameron made a great point. What happened to that old rule about nice Wednesday, bad Saturday? That has to do, all rules have exceptions, right, Cameron? Usually in New England, if you have a beautiful Wednesday, the weather's going to change in 3 days. And sure enough, there were weather changes coming right at us, but they zigged and zagged all around us. And I'm not sure how nice I would consider Wednesday when the wind was going 40 miles an hour and things were breaking due to wind. And anyhow, there are exceptions to rules. All right, put this back into motion. The nice Wednesday gives way to next Wednesday. Perhaps some weather coming in here Thursday. I'm going to stop it again here. Now, this is going to be Thursday at 1 a.m., so not that much farther ahead. And that low is really deepening, if the Euro is correct, somewhere near Indiana now. And look at the green on the north side, rain on the north side of it, blue. And if that verifies, it almost does look blizzardy with all those isobars in southern Indiana. So the south side of the storm has the snow and the north side has the rain, and that rain is coming right at New England. It's an old upper level low that's kind of fallen apart over the Great Lakes. Old, they call it old. It'll be old by then, but it hasn't even formed yet. And then we take that low and it kind of meanders right into New England with mostly rain. Lord willing, next Thursday and Friday. When have we seen this before in an 8-day forecast or a 7-day forecast? So there is potential for some rain, and then it gives way to a new low, kind of one decaying and a new one forming just to the right there. Now we're getting out to November 24th. This is Sunday, day 10. I'm only going to take it 240 hours, and that would have a cold northwesterly flow here, and it would be kind of wintry, and that would be good for snow guns and for snowmaking, and there would be potential in there also for some natural snow if this works out the way the Euro says it's going to. Which, how often does that happen once you get past about 4 or 5 days? It's been sort of upheaval in many of the forecasts. Watching these cumulus build right before my eyes. So yesterday was a travel day, and of course, weatherman gets a window seat, and maybe you'll see some familiar sights as we took off from Logan Airport on runway 4R into the northeast, and then we flew over just a real nice clean air, so I could see all my surf breaks there, and the surf was going off in New England. We have a lot of surf here too in New England. And then we went over Newport, Rhode Island, came into Philadelphia, only had a brief layover in Philadelphia. A lot of Eagles fans in Philadelphia coming from Boston, believe it or not, and kind of fun arriving in California, flying over the edge of the snow line there in the middle of the country from last week's snowstorm. And then we have friends. Ross was at Wolf Creek this week, and Carl and Donna, the Weller family from Vermont and Arizona. A lot of stories, and we flew right over you guys yesterday. So you're the only one of the bunch that's not in the southwestern United States, although I think maybe Ross has returned and the Wellers are returning because we're all going to start skiing in New England now in the next couple of weeks. And then coming in here to Los Angeles, beautiful big moon in the sky. Today is the full beaver moon, and it's because named that way because the beavers are putting up their winter forts, whatever you call them, dams. And in the olden days, this was the time to capture beaver and harvest them for their pelts to keep the humans warm. But not much of that going on anymore. So full moon today, and it's going to be coming up right. Whoops, jeez, I almost dropped my camera. Phone. The moon's going to be right there. So I will get the full moon coming up over California from Los Angeles. Signing out. Here's the and more from yesterday. Traveling, Boston, Philadelphia. And this technically is Santa Monica. And I think I see some Virga. I think I see some precipitation coming out of that cloud. All right, talk to you tomorrow. 10:30 in the morning, blue sky out the door here at Logan, Air Canada. We have some air coming from Canada right now. I think we're going to be using those snowplows this winter. Maybe once or twice. There's the tower. Tower request clearance for takeoff, please. Flight AA1776, proceed to 4R and wait for further instruction. You're next in line. That's runway 4R when you're taking off towards the northeast. Otherwise it's runway 22L when you're landing towards the southwest. like 1776 to Philadelphia, where the Declaration of Independence was signed. See you next week. And beautiful shot of Newport, Rhode Island. How can I not make videos? There are the clouds off to the west. The mansions. Providence. Stratocumulus layer here out on the boundary. The cold air north and the warm air south. Cold air damming in eastern Pennsylvania. Should I try and make a time lapse of going through the stratocumulus? Come on, take us down. That didn't work because we weren't going down. Might be going down now. Try again. Such a thin layer of clouds. It's like childhood dreams coming true. Able to walk on the clouds. Kind of. Susquehanna. Is that right? Some bridges are getting work done anyway. Is that I-95? This is pretty magical. We had clouds right through about the Mississippi River. And then just barren brown ground till just about probably the border with Colorado. Now look at this. Good crop circles in the snow. Hey Carl, you down there? On that water? On those mountains? We're all out in the southwest except for Weir now. Southern California. There's some smoke in the valleys.
Once again, folks, to prepare for landing, please close your tray table and put away carry-on items. Place your seat in the original upright position. Attachment keyboard that must be attached for landing. We'll now collect any remaining service items. We'll be landing soon.
Oh yeah, let's land again. That line of traffic. Coast to coast, and now looking back at a time lapse of Weymouth. We can get plenty of street imagery over the next couple of days. Thanks for flying with us. Enjoy your stay. Don't forget to visit Hollywood. Yeah, I just want to go to the USC game. Till tomorrow. There's the Hollywood sign. And long shadow at the nose of the plane and the rising beaver moon over Los Angeles.